while you worked any given job to support Father, even sold your gold, but not your soul, for how you slaved over kitchens, toilets, and children's diapers, and swallowed your pride in remembrance of a forgotten history that now seems so long ago, when you were served your breakfast and cleaned after. You maintained a well-kept home and welcomed all when you had nothing to show and shared everything you owned. You strive to keep our heritage, keep our family bondage, while you struggle to understand our new tongue and watch us assimilate to foreigners. You open our minds to visions of freedom while we were isolated from freedom land's oppression. You humbled our ways to accept one another, enabled us with the power of truth and sincerity to see through ourselves and others, showed us the strength and resilience to cope and survive through the hard times with hope, provided us the tools to express ourselves how we chose while you molded us into believing that what we choose should reflect righteousness and intelligence. And in turn we reflected you, alien mother. How dare they call you an alien when you are in all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We have a 10-minute open discussion session. I hope you guys came prepared with your questions. For the guest speakers, the AAA members, and officials from the city. Go ahead, please.
I like the idea of helping women around the world, but my fear is that maybe in Afghanistan, Pakistan, countries like that, they would reject the Western, type help. I don't know if it would work or not. I don't know how to help women around the world,
Right. Does any one of the guest speakers want to answer this question?
I can get us. Yeah. So I think the first question is what your expectations from women from, say, Pakistan. I feel like the media plays a role where it's not representing all women in Pakistan. So the first thing is to help people in Pakistan, for example. First of all, we work here as because we live in a community where we speak the same language, say, for example, in Malta. We talk to each other, then we do the same thing outside. So we speak the same language, and we try to reach women who might be very similar to us in our thinking from Pakistan. And then by empowering those women, they might have an influence on the other women in their countries. So when we speak about women in those countries, there is a whole spectrum of these women. I mean, my friends are from Pakistan are actually very strong women. So we can work with them to find a way to make some influence, but we also have to hear their voice, because sometimes what happens is that we try to find solutions for these people while we're not even asking what they want. So we have to have a dialogue, and then when we get to speak the same language, then we'll see how we find solutions.
And maybe Sharon, you wanted to add to that?
Like your sphere of influence is here, like you said, and sometimes people look to see what is possible. And what is possible sometimes is what you can do in your environment here. For instance, at the WIC office, we deal with women from all different cultures. So maybe somebody comes into the WIC office and has a good experience, okay? And then they can tell their friends. We're always about women helping each other out, okay? Women have so much knowledge, and sometimes all you need is one person to tell you, this is how this is done. Like you said, navigate the system. One person can make a big difference in somebody's life if somebody just takes that time to help somebody. And you do it step by step. to think that we're gonna influence somebody on the other side of the world might not be possible, but we can help somebody here who does have a connection there. And then they see the possibility, you know?
Dr. Foley would like to answer your question, and then we'll take Farah.
Yeah, I was thinking about the question. It will be very difficult to really reach out to people outside U.S. or countries around us, but we have to deal. The best thing that I see is to teach and encourage and give more, a sense of community and strength to young girls and boys from different countries, like Pakistan, like Egypt, like Morocco, if they are from families who are not giving them this strength to have their own identity. So if we encourage them and give this new generation the power and the respect for themselves and their own opinions, we can actually have influence in every one of them, and that can give them the power to do and achieve what they want, and they face the oppression of a family, for example, of a brother, of a father, of the structure of the family. They are very, connected, and maybe they have to listen to grandmother. Some Asian families, the grandmother is controlling everybody, and they give strength to the new generation. I think this is how it can propagate. I think, this is my opinion of how to start or where to start. And especially with people who work in schools and hospitals or in universities, and empower the new generation. And the reason I'm saying boys and girls is even boys sometimes are oppressed in some of these cultures.
Thanks for sharing your opinion with us. Farah, please.
And I just wanted to add to that, because I think it's an interesting question when we think about how do we reach someone when they're so far away. And there are more resources in terms of outreach now than there ever were before. I mean, I remember volunteering at a remote Berber, mountainous village where we were teaching literacy to women, and they couldn't leave their homes or couldn't leave their communities. But now there are programs that you can find, especially when it comes to literacy. Illiteracy is one of the, in terms of Afghanistan and Pakistan for these women, and it's sustainable economic development. There are many, many projects out there that are being supported from other parts of the world, from England and here from home, that support those women locally. And so I think, with enough research, there's plenty that doesn't necessarily sort of force our own values and our own perceptions about what should these women be. It's not diminishing their role, because I think that's just very similar to how they have been sort of, really underrepresented largely by the male, power in these situations. So how do we give voice to these women? It's by empowering them to really be able to live and sustain a household, to be able to create and develop something that will be useful for sale, or be able to learn skills that will equip them to make something useful in a market. Because a lot of it, I think, unfortunately, comes down to not just regional politics, but it's sustainable economic development, and how do these women how do we empower them by finding resources and venues that are already there locally.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
That's kind of where social media comes in.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't love social media, but for change, it does let people know it's possible. Some of the recent things that have gone on, you can't control information, right? Information is power. In the old days, certain people had all the information. Now it's kind of out there. So someone sitting in a remote village may see, hey, wait a minute, what is going on over here that I'm not being a part of? So there is going to be I think it's going to be more difficult to keep women down when they see possibilities in other places. So that would be maybe a good thing with social media, that people will see there's other ways. It's going to be hard to keep a lid on it, as I'm saying, because information is too readily available. So.
I have an idea, just you open it up for me.
Right.
That, is it possible that maybe we can, through the internet, we can organize a website and women who are achievers can put little bit of their stories, how did they struggle through something to achieve the goal.
Yep.
And it can be different, it doesn't have to be the whole book or
Yeah.
their whole life story, but it's just examples of an open, as I said, a website. My son is a publisher and he is very organized with the website. He has his own, the Rashid Foundation. He's only 27-year-old, but I can ask him to see if he can design a website for achieving women and it can be on the internet. Does that sound like a possibility that can reach to people?
I don't know
remotely?
too much about social media
Right.
either,
But the young people do.
Yeah.
Because that's where they get all their information from.
Right.
Whether it's true or not true, they get it from there. So yes,
For women,
yes.
for women who achieves, and it can be in the present tense, and it will be a special site, and women like whoever achieved a career,
Yeah.
how they did the career with family life, and put their own examples and open it to others.
Yep.
I don't know if that can be a social.
Or maybe the association could have a little story part of it.
Right. About the stories.
Do you think this can?
I think it's a good idea. I think some of those stories already exist on YouTube.
Yeah.
They just have to know how to navigate the net to get to them.
Do you know the name of some of these websites?
To be honest with you,
All you
I
do
go
is search.
online and I just reduce the criteria of the search until I get to this very, very narrow
Okay.
area of search, and it condenses, the search engine
It's
to
just,
what I am
I
looking
know it's
for, but I
open
don't have
discussion,
any.
so I'm just speaking loud,
Yeah,
thinking loud.
think aloud.
Do you think we can do something under AAA,
W, we could certainly get together and discuss
where
this
is-
further.
Where is our president on it?
With Brad
If
and-
we want to do something like that, so actually, I mean, Arab women have similar background to women from the rest of the third world countries, and I have to admit that. And maybe that can open to others who we make it in English, so other people in Pakistan and Afghanistan and these not Arab speakers can reach out, and maybe they have cultural background or same religion, and show that our stories, everyone who achieved, a woman who is achiever, can give strength and empower a girl somewhere there. Let me know if you like to design a website. It's approval, like you want me to look into it?
Can I add, I think going back, I'm trying to understand your question again. For the women who might not want to get help, is that part of your question?
Actually, no, part of your question was for women to be afraid of getting help from, to be afraid not to be able to get help from Westerners. People in the Middle East being afraid not to be able to get help from the West because of the way they're being portrayed in the media.
Well, I take part in, it's called the Pennies for Peace program. And it was started by an American man that he was climbing a mountain and he got lost coming down, and he was rescued by someone in Pakistan, I think it was. And to thank the man, he said he nursed him back to health, and he said, "What can I do for you?" And the man said, "Build a school." So he started this program where he gets the funds from U.S. citizens, and the local people build the school. He doesn't tell them what to teach or anything. And he's built a lot of schools in rural Pakistan and Afghanistan and Waziristan or something.
And that was
And,
a charity operated out of the U.S.
The name of the website, I think, is Alima, A-L-I-M-A. And I just save pennies and nickels in a jar, and usually when I fill a jar, it's $40, and I send it to them.